Hey guys, for today's video, I wanted to go ahead and quickly do a couple of things. One, I wanted to be able to talk to you guys about resume recommendations, or not really recommendations, but like advice on how to get your resume done, as well as a couple other things like quick tidbits over the web-based interview and the phone interview. So today I just wanted to go ahead and get started with at least the resume portion for you guys, and then kind of go over what this resume looks like and what it should look like when you do the put it onto the application, as well as give you guys some help on the web-based interview and the phone interview. So to get started here, you guys can see that here is my resume on the screen. I've got my name, my summary. The black out portion is all of my personal information, phone, address, things of that nature. So I wanted to go ahead and block this out because obviously that's my personal information. So as you guys can see here, I've got my summary, and the summary, it should be something like fairly quick and easy. So when Disney kind of like looks it over, they can kind of get a slight glimpse of who you are. So obviously mine is going to be based off of what I'm looking for. I mean, not necessarily like if Disney has to give me a leadership role, but this is kind of like what it is. Next is going to be the skill set portion. And you always want your skill sets to be anywhere from about 10 to about 12 skills. Like, now I know I've got a lot more than like obviously 12 skills here, but yeah, anywhere from 10 to 12 is kind of good. So this gives them a quick little like look at, oh, okay, so this person's got this skill, so that's awesome. Like, great. And your skills should always be about work related things and personal things that you can relate to work. So like here, I've got quick learner, top sales performer, because that is true, strong organizational skills, extensive food and beverage knowledge, retail. So things of that nature. And the reason that I'm like, pointing all this out is because I've been accepted 4 times to the college program, but I've only gone twice. So this upcoming time, if I apply once more and get in, would be my 3rd time that I'm going to go, because I'm only allowed to go obviously 3 times. But like I said, I've been accepted 4 different times, and they were all my first tries, every single one of them. So my work history here, as you guys can tell, it's fairly extensive. Kind of gives you like a quick snapshot of like who I am. But the one that I want to focus on is going to be, sorry about this, is the retail team leader one. And the reason I want to focus on it so much is because I want you guys to kind of see basically all the information of like who I am. So right here, I've got my, and then the way that it should always kind of look like this. You should always have your title, dates that you work there, where you worked at, and the city, state. And all of this right here should kind of like point you out in like obvious bullets here. So I've got like basically what I did every day while I was at work, and put it into a very kind of open, extensive, like basically snapshot of like what I did every single day while I was at work. And all these things here kind of like point out, highlighted, or I guess not point out, but like highlight things about me. So like right here, open and close the store, including counting, creating staff assignments. That kind of lets Disney know that like I'm very good at what I do, build relationship with customers to repeat customers, things of that nature. As well as if we go up to my job today, it's a little bit different than what I did before. I created interview and schedule for recruitment team over a lot of clients. So it kind of like points out who I am. Another thing you guys should keep in mind is that your resume should be no longer than 2 pages. Yes, mine is 3, which means I do have to delete one of my previous employers because it has been quite some time since I've done anything of that nature. So always want to keep your pages under two pages at least. Do keep in mind that, like, anytime I've been on the phone interview portion with Disney, at the end of my questions, I'm always asking them if they have any other questions for me, as well as, like, basically pointing out that, hey, like, like, is there anything on my resume that you guys liked or had any questions? And I always get told my resume is very easy to read and very easy to understand, so I want to be able to help you guys out with that. As you can tell, my education here is back into a small section on here, which is just my education, what I go to school for, things of that nature. Now, this is a portion that a lot of people have, and whether or not it's paid internships or volunteer work or unpaid internships, it should always be your very last page, and it should always be under your education, because it kind of points out, like, this is what I've been doing while I've been in school. This is what I was doing while I didn't have a job, things of that nature. Like, you should always kind of point it out. Sorry. Another thing is these are not in bullet points, as you can tell. Like, my work history up here are in bullet points. My paid internship isn't. This should be, honestly, the smallest thing that you have here. Quick, easy, to the point. This is what I did during my volunteer work. This is what I did during my unpaid internship. This is what I did during my paid internship. It should all be quick, easy, to the point, just like all the rest of this is. But your volunteer work should be a small little paragraph to give them a small little glimpse of what you did while you were working there. So honestly, I hope this helps everybody else with a lot of their resumes. If you guys want me to kind of look at your resume and ask me questions to see if it looks like something that Disney will read over and whatnot, that would be great. In the next part, I'm going to tell you why it's so important to have all this in the bullet points. So if you guys want to, like, bear with me for a sec, I'm going to go ahead and move over to the next screen to tell you guys why it's important that all of these are in bullet points. Now, as you guys can see, here, that the reason that I want that all of the things should be in bullet points is because of all of this in this section right here. All of this is where the bullet points are going to head to, which means all of this needs to be completely filled in. It all needs to have your bullet points, how long you work there, all of the information, basically, because Disney is going to read this. This needs to look exactly what your resume looks like. So if your resume doesn't kind of like look like this, it does become kind of a small problem, because this is the information that Disney is going to need all of this, basically, to be able to understand who you are and how they get all this information. So just kind of honestly make sure you can take the bullet points from your resume and put them here, because Disney kind of needs to see it. All right, so now to the web-based interview and the phone interview. There is a reason why I'm so passionate about this. The web-based interview basically gives Disney like a quick little, if you get to that next portion, gives me a quick little who are you kind of information thing. So the web-based interview, you want to be able to answer the questions as if you're the one asking the questions to the interviewee, so it makes more sense to you in your head. Like, if you're the one interviewing somebody, what answers would you want? What answers would you like to hear back? What answers make the most sense to you? So if I were to ask you, things like, if if you saw Johnny stealing something out of the cash register, are you going to report him? Are you going to talk about it with another coworker? You're just going to pretend it never happened? And, if you give me back the answer that I'm going to report it, then that's kind of what I need to be able to hear, if that makes any sense to you. So that's a very big thing on the web-based interviews. You want to kind of put it into your head, like, if I was interviewing this person, what answers would I want to hear? What would make more sense to me? What helps me understand who this person is like? So you want to be able to answer it as if you're the one giving the interview. So while you're reading over the questions, kind of keep that in mind. And then lastly, the phone interview. Don't be so nervous. Smile. have fun on our Facebook page. We do have a bunch of potential questions that the interviewer might ask you about the certain role that you've selected. Do keep in mind that they might not ask you those questions, but those are things that do kind of help in the long run. Like that way you have a moment to breathe, a moment to practice, a moment to understand, a moment to gather all the information in your head, if that makes sense. Another thing is smile, because they can hear it. Smile while you're doing the phone interview. At the very end, you want to ask questions. At the very end, you want to ask questions. So if they tell you, do you have any questions for me? Don't leave it at no. Ask them a couple questions. Usually the questions I always ask is, why do you like being a recruiter? Is there, it's usually just like, why did you want to be a recruiter? Is there anything about my resume that you had questions or that you've never seen before and you want to know more? Things of that nature. So they get kind of like, they understand. Things that they'll usually tell you is what's going to happen next before the call is over, so you don't have to ask, what am I going to be expecting? So kind of keep that in mind, like that is what it is that you kind of want to keep in mind. As well as a phone interview, besides asking follow-up questions, you want to smile. You want to, weirdly enough, make the interviewer laugh, make them more relaxed. If you're nervous, they're going to be nervous. And if they're nervous, they're going to hear it in your voice. So that's kind of all I have. So I hope this interview or this video was super helpful to those who had questions about what their resume looked like. Again, if you want me to help you out with your resume, send it to me. I'll be glad to look it over. I am a recruiter, so I kind of do know what I'm looking for and what Disney will be looking for. Again, I hope this interview is super helpful. I hope this video was very helpful to you guys. Thanks so much for watching Pixies. Bye. Have a magical day.